When you close your eyes and picture the American West, what do you see?
All right, Cowgirl, you halfway there.
The term cowgirl means so much more than riding horses and being on a ranch.
I think it's a mindset. I think it's an approach to keep powering forward with one foot in front of the other.
The West makes up so many different people now. We realize we're all one. The West can be one.
Well, good morning. How do you pronounce your name?
My full name is Razieme, which my mom made up, but everyone calls me Raj. It's much easier.
It's beautiful. I love it. And it matches your personality. I love it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining me today to talk about your documentary, How the West Was Won. I'm a huge Western fanatic, so this was something that, being a Las Vegas native and here in Nevada, we have a lot of rodeos, and I noticed a lot of cowgirls, a lot of competitions that are just women. So this is something that's been overlooked. I didn't know about the history of the showgirl other than pageantry and all that. But so this was an incredible subject. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. You're really lucky being in Nevada because you guys host every year in Vegas. You host the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo,
Oh,
which
yes.
if you've never been, to anyone watching as well, like it is the Super Bowl of rodeos, and I highly recommend. It's every year in December, right before Christmas. I go every year.
Yeah. And I tell people, we just had the Super Bowl for the first time. I go, nope, NFR is the ticket,
Yes,
and,
yes.
and you just signed for another 10 years. It was trying to go out of Vegas and everything. So we're glad to keep you here. So yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal and
Yeah.
so fun, so surreal, and very, very fun.
Well, like I said, you feature cowgirls that's overlooked in Western history and mythology. And so you have three cowgirls from California, Florida, and New York. They're the same, but they're different too, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely. And that's like the whole point of the film is that we can all kind of come together and unite under our similarities, under this cowgirl identity. The film, I think, makes a pretty strong claim that any strong woman who stands up for what she believes in can be a cowgirl. And it's not exclusive to looking a certain way or even performing certain tasks. It's not about riding a horse on a ranch. It's really an attitude and a way of being. And yes, obviously there are differences between all of the girls. We were really, really fortunate in our production process to get to shoot from all corners of the country. We shot in New York, we shot down in Miami, we shot in LA, and everywhere in between. We did shoot at the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo in Vegas. We shot in Texas and South Dakota. So we were really all over the place with this one.
And how did you get the trust of your subjects? How did you get the trust of the cowgirls to tell their story?
It's a great question. I think, it was a little bit different for each subject individually. So I'll start with Elle, who is our snake hunter cowgirl down in the Everglades in Miami. Elle and I were friends first and foremost. I met her through a mutual friend in college. She was going to Pratt at the time studying fashion design, and I was at NYU studying film, and she was like the roommate of a friend of mine. So we had like a little bit of that trust already. And I cast her actually in my student thesis film, in my short film in college. And so we had, become friends. And when she first started hunting these invasive Burmese pythons and using their skins for her fashion design and leather work, it was something that was like really striking to me. And I was very authentically interested in that process right from the beginning. So I think that, that friendship developed in a really kind of natural way. And then, we got involved in How the West Was Won together. I asked her to be a part of it. And so that was, kind of like an organic friendship that just developed over time. Annie, who is our New York cowgirl, was also like a friend of a friend. We met through friends, but I first reached out to her like on social media. And most of the time that we hung out was really like on set. It was for the film. Early on, there was, I won't go into details because it's her personal life, but there was an event that I was privy to that isn't in the movie, but an event that I was privy to in her personal life that really I felt like bonded us. I was like the first person to find out about this thing that happened. And I remember being there with my camera and she was like, Raj, like, shoot it, just shoot it. And it didn't end up in the movie, but it really kind of, she's a creative herself. She's a director herself. So I think that we had like this very cohesive, seeing eye to eye commitment to the project. And, our relationship just went from there. And then Morgan, our rodeo queen subject, was cast, similar to how people are cast and scripted. And I think, Morgan is just like one of the most genuine people I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. And I think it was really natural for us to, on the road, going to rodeos and what have you, get into kind of deeper conversations. And I think beyond all else, with all three of the girls, they're really genuinely just my friends at this point. And that trust was a really natural and deep-seated process.
And as a documentary filmmaker, what was that one moment that you captured? Because, this is about capturing real life. So what was that one moment for you as an artist that you captured that you remember overall?
I have two answers. So in terms of something that's like physically in front of the camera, when we were like on location capturing it, that was just like, wow, this is so fascinating to physically see, was the cattle branding scene. I've never seen a cattle branding, or I hadn't at that point in time, and just watching like real cowboys do their work, real like cattlemen work with their livestock, was fascinating from like an educational standpoint. However, that happens in Morgan's story. Something else that happens in Morgan's story that was not planned for whatsoever is, as viewers will see in the film, Morgan gets very, very sick to the point where she almost dies, which we never ever could have anticipated. It wasn't something, because of COVID regulations at the time, it wasn't something where we could physically be present like in a hospital to shoot her journey. But from afar, as we were learning about it, it was just like beyond me to be experiencing something like this, something that's happening to, at this point, like I said, my friend who I'm collaborating with. It was like, I never in a million years could have anticipated that she almost would have like passed away from kidney failure. Like, that's insane. So I think those two moments, like being on set in the moment and then just like as a theory, this thing that happened to Morgan, were really the moments for me that was like, whoa.
And now you're doing the film festival circuit with your documentary. How's that experience?
It's been great so far. So we have our world premiere at Dances with Films this Sunday, June 30th. So 6:30 at 6:30 at the TCL Chinese Theater in Hollywood, which is very exciting. The festival's, really, like Dances with Films specifically, is a very community-driven festival. I'm really thrilled to be a part of this community. All of the filmmakers and the staff is incredibly supportive of one another, and they really do champion indie filmmakers. Our film is very, very, very independent. It was made over 5 years with like a core team of 10 or less people, and that includes the subjects. So we're talking like a small, intimate documentary.
Well, TCL in Hollywood, that's where they premiered Star Wars. You're in good company.
Yes, I'll be in relatively good company. We're also very exciting. I'll be riding a horse down Hollywood Boulevard to the screening, to the premiere. Horses are street legal in Los Angeles, so you can just ride them. And I'll be accompanied by the Compton Cowboys, which is super sick.
Now, did you see yourself crossing over to fiction, or are you going to stay a documentary filmmaker, or stay with this genre, or something else?
So I do come from a more scripted background. That's how I studied. That's how I always imagined myself, going into the industry. This documentary kind of just came together, especially between the creative, the socio-political climate, the state of America that the film kind of discusses. Everything kind of fell into line together. And so we made the film, but I really am excited to return to scripted. I would do a documentary again, but I'd probably like to hold off for a second. I'd really like to get back to scripted.
I was going to say, America is falling in love again with Westerns. I'm a Western fanatic. It's my favorite genre. Yellowstone, Kevin Costner's Horizon is coming out this week. So I think that, if this is such perfect timing, because people are getting reacquainted with their past, and with the cowboys and now cowgirls. I just think it's such perfect timing for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I'm like, knock on wood. I agree. And I think Westerns are definitely having their moment, and also country as well. Country
Yes.
music, Western aesthetics and fashion. Like there's really, really a renaissance of all of that going on, Beyonce. Um, so we definitely see that like cowboy culture being recaptured by the public imagination. And I do think it's a great time. I would love to make more Westerns, probably a scripted Western, but I
Absolutely.
would definitely like to make more Westerns. And, I'm a horse person myself. Like I have horses. I grew up riding. I've been riding since I was 7. And, it's a huge, huge part of my actual life, like it's not just something I'm interested in. It's my life. So I'd
Absolutely.
like to do more Westerns.
You
Yeah.
learn that in film school, write what you know about, right? I went to film school at UNLV, so you're in good company.
Yeah, yeah. Very cool.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Congratulations on your documentary. And let's talk again soon. And when you're in Vegas, look me up, man, especially if you're here for NFR. I'd love to meet you.
Gotta go to NFR. Let's go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.